Afternoon, guys. Got what is today? October 1st. Man, the start of Q4. That happens to be the last quarter of the year. It's typically where a lot of times we start to plan about the things coming up for the following year, right? That's what Q4 is. So, good part of Q4 is a great time to just kind of sit and reflect on things that worked and things that didn't work throughout your year. There's a saying that you drastically overestimate what you can do in a year and drastically underestimate what you can do in 10 years, right? So as you start to do modeling out of not just what you're going to be doing for 2026, but also for, what's 2030 look like? What's it look like when you're 30, when you're 40, when you're 50? What's retirement look like, right? To start to really kind of model those things out in a way. And you know what? Starts with just planning, and it starts with, let's say it starts with Q4 of this year. So one thing that I'm going to challenge everybody is to take this Q4 and really finish out the year strong as far as your business goals go. But also, let's look at next year. What does 2026 bring, and what's that going to bring to you? What are your goals leads wise, right? What's your goals for lead generation? What's going to be your goals for income? What's going to be your goals for vacation, spending time with family? All those things are important, right? Ultimately, we always like to push kind of hustle culture and be as successful as you can, but at the same time, it's real tough to be successful if you're burned out, right? And so Q4 is a good time to take a step back and kind of realize like what's important to you and really try to implement those things kind of implement those things specifically in your life. And so that's what I love about Q4 for me, is this is the time where I'm going to go ahead and start planning for 2026, but also try to push out 5 years and try to push out 10 years of really what does that look like, and what is success, and what does success look like for me? What's that success look like for my family and everything else? So, shout out to Q4. Also, it's a good time to look back and be like, what worked and what didn't work? A lot of times in business, we're stuck working in our business and not on our business. And you got to think about that a little bit, right? Like, what's that difference there? Well, there's a big difference between working on your business and working in your business. If you're working on your business, you're doing planning. You're thinking about what you're going to be doing going forward. If you're working in your business, that's actually showing clients. That's actually working with clients or doing the thing that makes you money, right? And so it's good to kind of think when you're building a business as an entrepreneur, what are those two things, and what's the how does that play out for you? Just a thought there as we kind of get into Q4. Toddy B in the house. What's up, Toddy B? Fresh off his Dua Lipa concert last night. Mrs. Bergender looked amazing as well. So shout out to you guys, man. Once again, looked like you guys had a good time there. So, man, Toddy, I'd love to know your thoughts on Q4. Obviously, Q4 is the time of year where we start to plan for next year and start to reflect on what worked and what didn't work. Also, a lot of times I like to look back and think of like, what did I do that brought me my highest dollar per hour, right? As kind of like one circle. And then what brought me my highest dollar per hour that also brought me my most joy? Is there anything that filled up my cup and brought me a highest dollar per hour? And if those are two things that somehow overlap in any way, that's something that I would want to continue to do, right? Because it's sometimes there are things that we do in life that we do it and we know it makes us money, but we don't enjoy it. Toddy, don't say anything. And so those are things that we do. And it's like, man, that didn't fill my cup up, but it was very, but I was successful at it. Well, that's a path towards burnout, in my opinion, right? Because there are things that we can do that we can be very successful at, but if it doesn't excite us, if it doesn't fill us up, then that's a way that we can burn out. So then my thought is there anything that you guys can do that you enjoy doing that also makes you money here? Shout out to Clarissa. Shout out to Paul Roseberry in the house. Paul, thanks for jumping in. Lucas, thanks for tuning in as well. And Chris, hope you've been well, man. I love that there's a delay, because then it's like I say something and then Toddy hits me up 10 minutes later. Shout out to you. Yeah, man, that's a big part of this, right? As we start to plan our businesses, not just real estate, but entrepreneurs in general, right? What are the things that we enjoy doing that make us money? And now how do we then kind of fold that over to just duplicate those things over and over again? Let's see. Claire says, what's your favorite part of real estate that brings you joy? And I think my favorite part of real estate that brings me joy is creating community, right? Because real estate's everywhere, right? It's like air, it's like water. We all need a place. Toddy, I could talk about that in a second. It's going to hit home with a lot of people, maybe with Clarissa, since we spoke about it yesterday. But what's your favorite part of real estate that brings you joy? I mean, I think it's the creating the community piece of real estate, whether that is building out a neighborhood and seeing everybody come together, or if that's even doing an event over and over again as it brings people together. That level of community is great because ultimately, while within those communities that we've created, we start to talk about life. And guess what? Real estate is life. And guys, if you are at all interested in real estate and you're not talking about it with your friends, then I think you should find new friends. That's it. If all your friends are just sitting around doing nothing, then I would probably suggest that you might be in the wrong room. If you're the most successful person in your sphere, I would strongly suggest you go out and find some new friends because you don't have anybody to mentor after or to model after. And that is a huge thing, is to be like, look, success breeds success, and being around successful people that are positive is a lot easier because there's a lot of dumb shit happening in this world and it's easy to get down. So then how do you find your tribe, your crew, your community, and how do you grow that? I think that's important. And it can be said for any business, right? But the thing is, I do think that one of the main things is consistency and discipline. You can be really bad at something, but be consistent at it and have discipline. And eventually you'll probably, hopefully get good at it. But also at the same time, that's how you get trial and error, right? And so if you think about it, we started this thing 5 weeks ago and there were 0 people on, and now we have 6. Holy cow. That's only, just kidding. Toddy said, how do you, one of his biggest things is having hard time delegating tasks. And that's a hard thing that a lot of people have. And a lot of that kind of goes on one thing is to say that nobody can do it as good as me, which is probably a belief structure that people that have trouble delegating. And then the other thing is, well, they're going to ask me so many questions. Why would I spend time trying to teach them to do it when I can just do it and do it quicker? Oh, we got Tia Olga in the house, and we have Denise in the house. Yeah, sorry you're late. Typical casual Denise, always late for everything. We all know that. Maybe Denise can help with this. Denise, why, by the way, I don't think Denise has any trouble delegating, at least with me. But Toddy said that he has a hard time delegating tasks. Absolutely. I was waiting to start. And so finally we can begin. Okay, now that Denise is here, we can begin. Only 8 minutes late, but that's okay. But she was probably expecting me to start late, which is definitely the truth. But getting back to that delegating, right? So the thing is that we all have the same 24 hours in the day, but we all have different bandwidth, right? So somebody's bandwidth could be something where they don't have to sleep, but maybe 3-4 hours a day, and they can work all that time and they can handle multiple things. And then other people are very task oriented, where they have to do one thing at a time and everything's very linear, versus people like myself that have ADD, where it's just like, everything going on at once. Guess what? Both of those things are very needed in this world. And, a lot of that is people that are working kind of more in operations. And then there are people that are kind of a lot of times just coming up with the ideas. And so it's important to be able to have the basically the idea people out there that are kind of coming up with or thinking about the business piece. You have ad. Yes, I do. Thanks, babe. Just highly functioning is what my therapist said. Obviously based on the chat, my ADD is crazy. I'm like, oh, look at who's in here now. But if you think about this, right, Toddy, for example, if you come up with an idea and then you are able to, I need to find new friends here in Tulum, but it's kind of difficult to find mentors here. Oh man, I couldn't even imagine. Lucas just had a good point on that. And I'll touch on it in a second. But Toddy, if you think about this, right, if you come up with an idea and at that point you can either be the person that executes that idea or you can delegate that idea. And so ultimately over time, as you're training somebody to use your voice, you're training somebody to also put their own kind of special sauce on it. So that way it can be their thing that they're doing. And at the same time, it's getting done well. And over time, that while training somebody properly over time, that's going to free up your time to go do things that are your highest dollar per hour. One thing that I talk to new agents all the time is I say, here's the 200 things that real estate agents do. Now put a dollar per hour next to those things. And if you're putting a dollar per hour next to those things, what is your dollar per hour worth? So for example, if you've got something that's a $50 an hour task, but we know that when Toddy's showing homes, he's making thousands of dollars an hour, then Toddy should not be spending time doing $50 an hour tasks. He should be spending time doing his $1,000 an hour tasks, unless if he just thoroughly enjoys it, right? That might be something it's not the best business sense, but it's something that he can do that also fills up his cup. That's where that something would come into play. But a lot of that also comes down to trust and also down to ego. Because to me, honestly, I would have rather have something put out 80% correct or 80% of what a perfectionist would say. Because again, like we spoke about, it's not about the content as much as it's about consistency and discipline. Man, Ben Woolfolk in the house. Oh man, I can't wait to hear about Ben's Thursday that he had this past week. Let's see. Lucas says here, I need to find new friends here in Tulum. God, it sounds great living in Tulum, but it's kind of difficult to find mentors here. Lucas, man, I feel like I could probably help you. You hit me up a DM on that. I know a bunch of people that are down there that are, very successful in different businesses. Not the ones you guys are probably thinking. And some people that own some different homes down there and whatnot that are uber successful here that I bet that I can go ahead and tee you up with, man. But happy to help in any way that I can. So again, guys, this is Paul Smith. You're tuning into the 12 at 12 on October 1st, start of Q4 today. Also, typically that means that we're in the start of the part of real estate where things start to slow down a little bit, right? October starts to slow down, and then November and December tend to be at least as people are looking at real estate, tend to be a little bit slower in November, December. Do you recommend a cheap VA or a part-time assistant for minutia? Absolutely, I do. 100%, man. I definitely work with VAs at 12 Rivers. We have a VA that does a lot of our marketing stuff. Yeah, and this is just like flyer creation, stuff like that. Very templated, but very cost effective. And then I have another VA that does all of my contract to close as well as my team's contract to close. Also very cost effective. And what that does is that frees up my operations director, that frees up my assistant. It also frees up my team to do the tasks that they don't have to do the tasks that other folks that didn't have a VA do, right? And so that tends to be somewhere in that like $6 to $10 an hour. And my VA works on our time, which is nice as well, because a lot of times VAs are on the other side of the world, and so they're 12 hours away. It takes a village, Toddy. Don't we know it? There's a lot of different villages that I feel like it takes to make Toddy B go. And I've seen quite a bit of them. I feel like he's probably ruined a bunch of them as well, but it was a good time while we did it for sure. Ben, what else are we going to talk about today, Clarissa? One of the things I do want to talk about, we spoke about it briefly last week, but I don't think I put enough kind of emphasis on it, is there's a project in Southeast Austin at 130 and 71. Shelby, thanks for tuning in. Hope all's well. We got Jesper in the house as well. Man, Jesper's killing it. He is somebody that's doing a bunch of business at 44 East. So shout out to Jesper. Village. I love it. Project Velocity has basically been renamed. And so it was a 300-acre site that was at the corner of 130 and 71. And so here's the importance of that site in particular. One, there's no shopping in that area. Like if you live at Prado, Easton Park, Austin Colony, all those areas, there's no place like, where's your HEB, right? Where are you going to go buy groceries? And if it's crazy to say, but if a 20-minute ride to go buy groceries is where you're at right now, that kind of puts you at a little bit of a neighborhood disadvantage compared to other neighborhoods, right? It's just, think about the Miller development and when they put in that new HEB and what that did for Windsor Park, University Hills, the neighborhoods over there off of 51st and Manor Road, and kind of as that developed out, that really made that an area that kind of really stepped it up. And so that's something that is going to happen over off of 130 and 71. You're also going to have large scale mixed use, things that you currently don't have right now, right? So I think that's something that's going to be great. Let's see. Chris says VAs are great. Consider if you can automate processes systems with AI. Man, Chris, that's a great recommendation. Chris, do you have any AI softwares, any AI software and or apps that you use to do something like this? And in particular, maybe something to do with, say, email, something to do with CRM or anything that you do. If you could just go ahead and post that in the chat, I'd appreciate that, because I know myself included, like I'm always looking to do things. Hey guys, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I actually take this 30 at 30 and then we go ahead and load that in Claude. And then from there, we go ahead and we make a newsletter out of it, right? And so this is something that would have taken hours upon hours to do. And with AI and being able to take this transcript, now we're able to cut this down and actually turn this into a newsletter that's extremely custom based on the things that I'm talking about. And then AI will actually go in and then find relevant photos and whatnot to do. That's right, because we're giving everything away here. Nothing's a secret. All right. Like this is about abundance, right? It's not about exclusivity. It's about inclusivity. Well, shit. There's that. Guys, here again. This is Paul Smith with the 12 at 12 tune again. Look at this, right? But look, this is Toddy. That one was for you, by the way, buddy. That's something that you can do. And by the way, if you ever want to jump on here with me and have a conversation, let's do it. But again, Project Velocity, that's one of the things that I think is going to blow up that area over there. One of the other things that I really should have touched on more is the fact that AEG, which is essentially, let's say, the two biggest heavyweights probably in the world now when it comes to concerts, is Live Nation and AEG. And Live Nation owns C3, right? So C3 started ACL, Lollapalooza, a bunch of other festivals. They are Austin based. So the fact that we have AEG basically coming in and planting a flag in Austin is huge. It's huge for them. It's going to be big for us because we're going to get competition, because a lot of, like, say, for example, Live Nation's vertical includes artist management, right? It includes all these other things. So we might not have been getting other artists that are coming through that are AEG managed artists. AEG owns Golden Voice, which is Coachella, probably one of the largest festivals in the world, but certainly the festival that I feel like kind of sets the bar for all festivals going forward. Clarissa, would you agree with that? Yeah, she said, "Oh yeah, absolutely." Man, I couldn't imagine Toddy at Coachella. That would be crazy. That'd just be nuts. See him in the Yuma tent, just going off. Guys, this is Paul Smith. Again, we got the 12 at 12. What else are we going to talk about today, Clarissa? It's on the spreadsheet. I don't have it. It's the we thing. I'm giving away the we thing here.
It's in the chat. I sent it to you
via text.
Yes.
Man, Jonathan, thanks for jumping in. Hope all's well. Oh, here we go. Here's our Google Doc.
Yeah.
Boom. Hey.
It's all in there.
Now I got to sign in. By the way, guys, this is just a peek into the herding kittens that is my life, because I'm the kitten at this point. Yeah, it's all good. Listen, give me something that's on there. Just throw something out at me.
About Bastrop. Home sales.
Bastrop.
2026.
Are they going up?
Yes.
Oh, I like that. So home sales in Bastrop, I mean, duh, right? I mean, it makes sense for a lot of reasons. One, Bastrop's price point is super attractive. Two, they're extending 290 past Bastrop essentially. And so what that's going to mean is it's going to make it significantly easier to get to Bastrop, a lot similar to what they're doing out at the Y, similar to what they did at 183. Denise said, question while I have you. All right. Well, Denise, took too long. Okay. Moving on. No, price point's going to be huge. And then also, if you think about it, all the different things that are happening along that Southeast corridor directly benefits Bastrop. You've got the Boring Company in Bastrop. You've got 25-minute drive north to Taylor, which is where Samsung is. You've got all the stuff along 183, which is going to continue to grow. So it makes a lot of sense. Also, a lot of the new construction builders, they're offering crazy incentives. What's your car wash at H2O? I'm about to pull up. Okay, it is the executive wash with the deluxe dress. Tell Javi I said what's up, by the way. Man, we got Ali in the house. Man, my guy Ali. I've known Ali probably longer than anybody in this chat, and that is the absolute truth. He used to come in when I was a bartender at Treasure Island back in the day. And the best thing is when his brother gave me his ID for his 21st birthday, yet he'd been drinking at the bar for 2 years. So shout out to Ali. Hope all's well, man. Yeah, dude, I think I would be really long on Bastrop. It's one of those things where in Bastrop, your soil composition starts to change, right? So you start to, right around the airport is where you start to go from a clay type of a soil to a sandy type of a soil, which is good. You start to see, pine trees versus oak trees, stuff like that, like plants that have a much shallower kind of root structure in Bastrop. So I think Bastrop's going to continue to grow. I think as they continue to add infrastructure, obviously you have boring out there. You have, and by the way, those that don't know, boring is one of Elon's companies, and it's not boring like this is a boring podcast, more of like boring as in like they're boring under the ground doing tunnels. They've done one in Vegas. There's actually talk right now of them helping with the 35 cap and stitch project that's happening. And so, yeah, man, I think Bastrop, super long on Bastrop. There's 2 large movie studios heading out to Bastrop as well. One, of course, shout out to Levi is going to be doing one. Zachary Levi is going to be doing one. It's about 125 acres I think it's called Wildwood or Wynwood. And great to see that happening. I actually saw him, was talking to him about the plans on that years ago, and it looks like it's coming to fruition. So shout out to Zachary on that. And then the other is a 500-acre site that I know is being driven by New Republic. And so that's exciting. Also, Texas just did a $1.5 billion incentive for people to do movies and to do art specifically within Texas, which is pretty great. So I could see there's a lot of reasons to be long in Bastrop. If I was going to pick Bastrop over Lockhart, I feel like right now the Lockhart downtown scene is it's built out a little bit more than Bastrop's. But I do think with all the arts and all the creatives moving into that area, I could see Bastrop kind of coming up and doing something very similar. The Bastrop downtown right now is kind of one strip, and definitely think there's an opportunity. Let's see. Clarissa writes, for end of year, is it better to buy now or wait till the beginning of the year? That's a great question. A lot of that's going to depend on your situation. Typically, you always want to buy when there's less buyers than there are sellers, right? And so that is supply and demand in general, right? And so if you're looking to buy in the October, November timeframe, typically, if you're looking at properties, or if you've been eyeing a property that came on during the summer, that let's say it came on overpriced, and now it's coming to be, it's coming into the Q4 of the year, property starting to look long on the tooth. You can also check to see how much a seller paid for a property to see how much equity they have. That might be the time to come in and try to snipe something. And that could be a good time to come in and buy a property. The other thing is that there is an expectation that the Fed will reduce rates 1, maybe 2 more times by the end of the year. If that happens, if we start to see rates in the, let's call it low 5s, I think that there's going to be a spike in the buyer activity. There's already mortgage loans are up 29% year over year. And a lot of that is going to be interest rate driven. So I do think if you're looking at buying, now could be the time, at the very least, start the process now, and then really just sit back and kind of snipe the property that you want. Be patient and find something that you're looking for. That's definitely something I would do. Let's see. Paul says, what does different ground composition tree types mean to you in real estate terms? Man, I think a lot of it means, a lot of ground composition could be the cost of building, right? And so why you don't see a lot of basements in Texas, but in the north and just about everywhere else, you see a lot of basements, is because one, our soil type, right? We have a lot of limestone. So to go down, you have to chip out rock. And we also have a very clay type of a soil, which is an expansive soil. So when it gets wet it really expands. And when it gets dry, it contracts. Right. And so ultimately, when that's happening, that actually will cause a foundation to move. And so until recently, let's say probably in the mid 90s, they came out with engineered slabs versus slabs that just had rebar on them or in them. Right. And so an engineered slab has post tension cable. It's actually designed to kind of like wave on the dirt versus older slabs. Literally, they sat on the dirt and they would crack if it moved too much. Right. And it would actually cause some sort of a fissure. So those things became expensive, and it became tough to own those properties a lot of times too. Because if you've got homes that have a some sort of a metal metal piping or sewer in them, that as that moves, it's going to break that, and it's going to go ahead and fissure. Versus the new type of sewage that's getting putting in properties now, basically. Other thing is if you're in when it comes to commercial, when you're looking at more of like a sandy type of a soil, a lot of times that sand doesn't vibrate, right? And so when you're making semiconductors, that's why it's so attractive for the Samsungs and your AMDs of the world and your Intels and your NVIDIAs in the world to be in an area like Austin, because of that type of a soil composition. Because when you are doing, when you're making chips at a nano level, those things are very important. That's a great question, by the way, man. Other thing too is that when you're looking at different soil compositions, building on rock, if you're doing a slab, means that your slab is probably not going to move, which is great, because that is something that you would want to make sure that it doesn't do. Is that causes everything from not only foundation issues, but then also potential sheetrock issues and perceived issues, right? Because think about this: when you build a home and it's brand new home, that wood will, as it gets installed, it will get dry. So it actually does contract as well, which will cause sheetrock issues. However, those are kind of more superficial versus if you actually have a slab that is moving. And obviously, if there's ever a concern with that, have a foundation company or structural engineer come out and look at your home for sure. Clarissa, what else we talking about today? I got 2 minutes.
ACL.
ACL, man, who are we most excited? By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have ATX Concert Queen here, and she's asking me about ACL. So, who are we most excited to see? Is Sabrina Carpenter? Is that one of them?
Yeah, she's one.
Sabrina Carpenter. I don't even know. Is that the one? Did she just have the new jeans? Was that the? I don't know. Sydney Sweeney. I don't even know. Right? How old am I? I'm excited to see LPGOV, local Austinite. She's super dope. I would definitely suggest going and see that. She's doing a couple different events. For sure. She's doing a daytime kid-friendly event, which is great. For me in ACL, I'm always most excited to just bring Max out there and go hang out, honestly.
11 years.
This will be his 11th year in a row. Max is 11. He's been to ACL every year going forward. So yeah, I'm excited. Are there any hip hop acts this year? Who's the hip hop act? Doechii. Oh, dude. I heard she's phenomenal.
T-Pain.
I heard she's phenomenal live.
T-Pain's also there.
Shout out to T-Pain. Dude, we did a private backyard concert with T-Pain last year. I don't know if you know this or not. In Wells Branch. No, nobody did. Yeah, it was for a Zillow commercial. I love that Zillow hired me to do a commercial for them. It was great. Super impromptu. Put it together in 2 weeks. Team absolutely executed it. So it was good to do. Good to go for sure.
Any secret things you know?
Any secret things I know about? Then it wouldn't be a secret. I might be doing some sort of an after party weekend too. I woke up to a text message from Chris Cates of When We're What saying, "Are we doing something?" And so I feel like I need to step it up a little bit and do something. So hit me up if you want to go. Guys, that's my time today. This is Paul Smith with the 12 at 12. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Also, check out my private group on Instagram. This will be turned into a newsletter. So if anybody's interested in getting my newsletter sent out, please feel free. Guys, hope all is well. Thanks again. Peace.